Welcome back to another Guide My Journey. Today's question from one of my prospective clients. I've recently started a business with one of my friends and we don't have a contract. Is it necessary? The answer, yes. Yes, yes, yes. If you start a business with anyone, whether that be friend, family or a stranger, you have to have an agreement in place. And there's a number of reasons why. Just because somebody is your friend or a member of your family doesn't mean that things won't go wrong in the future, and you really need to protect yourself. So I can't stress enough how important it is to have a partnership agreement or a contract. So what should a partnership agreement include? Well, it should include the name of the partnership and the names of those involved in the partnership. It should also include the name of the business if different from the name of the partnership. It should include the length of the partnership. So is it just until it's closed or is there a specific period of time? What is the purpose of the partnership? So what are you going to be doing? What's the service that you're going to be offering, or what's the product that you're going to be delivering? You need to include the types of partnerships. So is somebody going to be simply contributing money but not having an active role in the business? Is somebody going to be acting as the CEO? That needs to be stipulated. Also, the contributions of each partner. So how much money is each individual partner putting in? What are the requirements for new partners? If you wanted to have a new partner enter into the partnership, what are the requirements for that? And that needs to be stipulated very clearly so that somebody doesn't rock up with an extra person and say, hey, I want this person to be in the business now they're in. You need to stipulate how that works. How and when profits can be shared. You don't want individuals going to the bank and taking profits out just because their profit's there. Do you have to get to a minimum level of profit before you can draw down funds? Are you going to wait till all your debts are paid off? How is it going to work? You need to be very clear so that people don't expect money when money is not supposed to be given out, and vice versa. Management powers and duties. So who is in charge of the business? What are the duties of the management? Are you going to have a management team? Who's going to vote in the management team? What are the voting rights? How decisions are made? Who has the final say on the decisions? How does that process work? Again, very important. So you don't have one member of the partnership going off and making big decisions without informing the other members. And you may think that that's fairly obvious, but it's not obvious. So you need to make sure that it's written so that it becomes obvious. Financial matters. So who is going to be your accountant? Who's going to do your books? How often are financial reports going to be put together? How often are they going to be distributed to the rest of the partners or to whoever else is interested in knowing the financial circumstances of the business? Meetings. How many meetings are you going to have? How long are they going to take? How many people need to be at the meetings for a meeting to go ahead? Maintenance of records. Who's going to keep all of the records up to date? Who is responsible for that? Who is responsible for reporting the information included in the records? Conflicts of interest. Are each member of the partnership able to go out and do work that may conflict with what the work of the partnership is? How are you going to mitigate against that? Can you have a clause to say no competition up to a certain period, or are you okay with that? Again, you need to make it clear. Leaving terms. So what are the terms that need to be fulfilled, or what are the obligations if somebody wants to leave the business, or if somebody needs to be expelled from the business? What is the process? What is the agreement on that? And again, very clearly, you need to stipulate that before you get to the point of somebody wanting to leave. And that's why it's really important to have an agreement. So you can sit down from the beginning and say, if somebody wants to leave, this is what happens, because they may want to take money with them, they may want to take equipment with them, and if there's not been anything decided prior to them wanting to leave, how are you going to stop them? And if somebody's not pulling their weight and you want to kick them out, what recourse do you have to do that if you don't have a clear set of terms that state at what point somebody is liable to be kicked out? If it's signed and says if you do X, Y, and Z, you're going to be expelled from the company, and then somebody does X, Y, and Z, they can't argue. Well, they can argue, but it's written down in black and white, so it gives them less room for argument. So you can download partnership agreements online, but I would definitely recommend, if you can afford it, to get a legal professional to draw up a document for you and sign it in their presence to make sure that it's all above board. But in lieu of that, there are many websites that you can go on and put your information in, and it produces a document for you. And just finally, when you go into business with friends and family, you often do so with an open heart, with expectations of everybody working in specific ways, everybody contributing and having a certain level of professionalism, because you know and like the person. Well, I would hope you would know and like them if you're going into business with them, but sometimes it doesn't work out. So you really do have to weigh up before you go into business with friends or family. how detrimental it would be if this didn't work out. Is it worth losing a best friend? Is it worth falling out with a family member for the sake of a business? Because you have to always look at what is the worst case scenario. And if it's not, then maybe you need to reevaluate whether you should be going into business with that person. Because you know everyone until money gets involved. And when money gets involved, things can turn sour. I started my first business with 3 of my really good friends. One of them was somebody that I actually shared a home with at one point. And due to different things happening and circumstances within the business, and because of a lack of a contract and a code of conduct, which I would also recommend, to this present day, I don't speak to any of the other 3 individuals. And that's, to me, one of the main reasons why I always recommend thinking very carefully about who you go into business with, because you can't accommodate for people's feelings, for people's behaviours, and how people respond to certain situations. And it's also quite important that you have, as I said, a code of conduct that clearly states what can and cannot be discussed in a business context and how you should and shouldn't behave. Because how you interact with your friend is very different to how you interact with a business partner. And you may sometimes forget yourself and interact with your business partner in a way you'd interact with your friend. But it may not be appropriate, and that can cause issues in of itself. So I hope that that's been useful for you. Please click like if it has been. Please write in the comment section if you've got any experiences of starting a business with friends or family that you'd like to share. And please subscribe if you haven't already done so to the YouTube channel. I'm Daniela, thanks for watching.